The one had in fact received the pioneer pen probe and worshipped it as a god, misunderstanding what Massey's message was. Kirk's creativity, in the end, inspires the one to spare mankind so that this trait of creativity could be further studied. Well, the network deal fell through, and they were left wondering what the hell to do now. However, at the same time, Close Encounters of the Third Kind was doing quite well, and a little film called Star Wars seemed to be catching on. So they decided to go back to the movie and the pilot concepts would then later be recycled into Star Trek New Generation, which shows things might have worked out for the best, because those recycled elements were responsible for much of the early silliness of TNG. This is why you suddenly see some new people with 10... outside this film. Star Trek I, released as Star Trek the Motion Picture, has also become known as Star Trek the Motionless Picture and Star Trek the Slow Motion Picture. You'll see why as we go on. A few things I've done have raised more ire than talking about this film. Let me therefore preface this review with some remarks. As always, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. If you like this movie, that's sincerely. This film was enjoyed. Good for you. This is fine. Right up until the point someone decides it's not enough that I like it. Everyone who doesn't is wrong. Now you're just being an asshole. If you think there's a message or something in the film other people might be missing, okay. If you think the film is underappreciated, okay. If you think any of these facts makes you more intelligent, more sophisticated, or in any way better, why don't you go and inflict your personality on someone else? Comparisons are sometimes made between this film and 2001: A Space Odyssey. 2001 was, in my opinion, a work of genius. But I can certainly understand why some people just don't like it. My distinguished colleague Confused Matthew talked about his problems with the film. And while I don't agree with all of them, I would never presume that that somehow makes me a more intelligent and sophisticated person. So it boggles my mind that there are people out there who presume a similar attitude about this film entitles them to feel a sense of superiority. At least 2001 is a recognized success, with numerous awards, placement within lists of cinematic greats, and, along with the aforementioned Close Encounters of Star Wars, included in the National Film Registry for being significant. So that may very well be what motivates some people to defend it so harshly. I don't know, I'm not going to psychoanalyze anymore. I'm just pleased that for every person who feels the need to scream about the intellectual failure of anyone who dares to disagree with them, that I usually get two who say, I like the film anyway, and here's why. In a nice, polite way. I usually don't agree with them, but at least we can discuss the matter like two reasonable people that recognize we just have different points of view. Now, the ironic part of all this is that of the 10 original films, 5 are going to be above average for the group, and 5 are below average, right? Of the films I've listed as below average, this is the one that I've given the top slot. And the reason it's in the bottom half and not the top is not because of the acting, the script, the ideas, the dialogue, or anything like that. It's the effects. They don't complement this film, they kill it. To give you some idea, here's a couple facts. Encounter at Farm Point has almost 20% more dialogue than Star Trek The Motion Picture, but the latter is almost 50% longer than the former. Yes, it takes almost half again to say even less than Encounter at Farm Point did. And it's not as if Encounter at Farm Point is known for its breakneck pace. They've got a scene that's 3 minutes of the Enterprise docking with itself. Now, I know you can't exactly measure everything based upon dialogue here, but what are the scenes that are taking up all that space, huh? How often do you see somebody just walking up a corridor, standing in a hallway, working at their station when no dialogue is taken place? I'm including Captain's Log here. Not much. It's all the effects. They're crushing the life out of this film. And I cannot understand this attitude that if it's got action, tension, adventure, then it's for the hoi polloi. But if it's got none of that, then suddenly it's art. And anyone who doesn't appreciate that is so lowbrow, they're looking for pretty lasers. Well, let me point back to 2001 again to show you how that falls flat on its face, so that you can actually see it done right. This is section, it's about 6 or 7 minutes long of the trip from the orbiting station in that film to the lunar base. It's a scene completely free of all dialogue, and occurs not too long after the same time as the Enterprise reveal shot in TMP, which runs in at 4.5 minutes from the time they stop talking until the time that they dock. Except the TMP sequence actually feels longer because the TMP one is just the ship over and over and over, and occasionally people looking at the ship, or to really shake things up, at each other. The 2001 sequence shows bits of one thing, then another thing, establishes this idea, reveals these aspects of space travel. In other words, it's giving you the impressive sight, but it provides you with information through observation, and keeps the whole thing fresh. The film doesn't stop for the effects. The effects help the film move forward. And what's more, this is all new, trying to give us our first real view of what it would look like for humanity to be casual space travelers, at least in our own local neighborhood. No offense, but Star Trek with spaceships and the Enterprise, we've seen that before. Yeah, it's great that it's finally on the big screen. Yeah, it's great that it's new special effects and all of that. But do we honestly need to look at the Enterprise for nearly 5 minutes? We do have the entire rest of the movie to look at it after all. Well, let me say again, if you still like this film, if you think it's great or even the best of the lot, good for you, and I mean that. But if you seem to believe this film is some kind of litmus test of character, let me share you one other anecdote about this film from someone who commented on the film over the radio. And